Hi, folks. Welcome to Crisco's Corner. Hi, all you thought criminals and extremists. Welcome back. And those of you that are new, welcome. This is from redstate.com from Glenn Greenwald. Now, Glenn Greenwald, for those of you that don't know, is a pretty leftist. I call old school liberal. When liberal Democrats usually actually stand for something. They're anti-war, pro-civil rights, that kind of thing. Feminists, real feminists. And they hate his guts now. In fact, Glenn Greenwald was put on a list of Russian propagandists. This whole thing is so twisted, but I digress. Glenn Greenwald goes to town on why Dick and Liz Cheney hate Trump so much. The hatred for Donald Trump, I've never seen anything like it. I like to read history. I like to study it. I'm not an expert by any means, but I know more than the average person, less than an expert. And there's been animosity at the presidential level, in the Senate level, in the U.S. before. The only one I can really compare it to with this kind of hatred and bitterness is Andrew Jackson in a lot of ways. Now, there's been a lot of politics is not dirty now compared to the old days. Actually, it's clean, if you can believe that. But it's in your face 24/7 now, so it seems worse. The hatred for him is unexplainable in a lot of ways. And let's see what Glenn Greenwald has to say. I wrote about this same ad in Representative Liz Cheney's father put out, the former Vice President Dick Cheney, the one that all the Democrats call the warmonger, which he was, made huge profits off of suffering and misery and death from wars that were started. George Bush Jr. now hates Trump's guts, and they're aligned now with the Democrats. And the Democrats think that former President George W. Bush is a hero. This is like backwards day. Cheney claims in the 246-year history of our nation, no individual has posed a greater threat than President Donald Trump. Funny little tidbit. Dick Cheney, who shot a friend of his by accident with a bunch of buckshot hunting, after he shot his friend with a shotgun, had a higher approval rating than Joe Biden or Kamala Harris. I'll play part of it. It's pretty disturbing, actually.
In our nation's 246-year history, there has never been an individual who is a greater threat to our republic than Donald Trump. He tried to steal the last election using law.
He tried to steal the last election. I won't even go into that because this is YouTube. Donald Trump is the biggest threat to the republic. How about you declaring wars? How about you spending trillions of dollars that we couldn't afford on wars that had no point, wars that had no end? And then went out to one in Iraq. Remember that one? Weapons of mass destruction. That was a lie. And it created such a vacuum in the Middle East that hasn't recovered since. I'll call you Vice President Cheney because that's what you used to be. You, sir, are the threat to the republic. Let's read on. Now, I noted how unhinged that was. And it was unhinged. That's an ad that Liz Cheney put out in Wyoming. Now she's pulling out the wrong card, throwing this out there in the last days of the campaign, thinking that somehow it's going to help her in her campaign in Wyoming. If anything, it will drive people there further away from her thinking that she is truly unhinged, if they already didn't think that. Dick Cheney also slipped up and made clear that their aim is keeping Donald Trump from becoming president again, just like the Democrats. That's their goal. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. Why are they terrified of him and hate him at the same time? Weird combo. Fear and hate. Because he's not one of them. He's not part of the old uniparty that we've been tricked. That supposedly one side represents this and one side represents that. We know that's not true. We know that's a lie. Donald Trump walked into the room, as they say in the old days, walked into the store and flipped the table over. Caused mass chaos. They had it so good. They were making so much money. How many people come out of Congress as multimillionaires? Way more than when they went in, the vast majority. In response, because that serves the anti-Trump Democratic narrative, suddenly some on the left are embracing these comments from Dick Cheney, who they hated, who they call it Nazi when he was vice president, and the sitting president, George W. Bush, repeatedly. Remember the hanging chads in Florida? Can't go into detail because this is YouTube. But the Democrats screamed and hollered, how wrong it was and how unlawful it was and how it was this and that. And he can't say, like I said, because this is YouTube. The man they have demonized like Darth Vader for decades. They don't care who the person is or what they have said about him yesterday. It's all about whether this will serve their political goals today. It's all about getting Trump out. And the more they want Trump out, the more I support him. It's all about what will support Democrat power, and that's exactly what the Cheneys are supporting with this effort, whether they acknowledge it or not. Of course they know. It's not Democrat support, it's the Uniparty support. But journalist Glenn Greenwald had a great question about all this. Why do the Cheneys hate Trump so? What's the point of this animosity? Why are they willing to throw in with the Democrats to act like this? The answer is a simple one. As Greenwald observes, Trump came in fighting the neocons, calling out the Bush-Cheney worldview and Jeb, who the Republicans wanted to win in 2016. He came in talking about wanting to end foreign wars and things that sustain the security state. Sustain the security state. About power and money. Unbelievable. Or is it the Trump campaign on the most vocal denunciation of neocon foreign policy since Ron Paul, and then he won? And here's the part of the discussion on the why the Cheneys with the Bushes hate Trump so much. It's not because they're noble patriots who cherish the rule of law. It's because Trump ran and won, denouncing their neoconservative worldview. Now the Democrat worldview. It's true. It's true. Greenwald said that Trump expelled the Bush-Cheney ideology by denouncing them, and he won, thereby changing the very nature of the Republican Party. He did. He changed the very nature. In fact, I think he saved the Republican Party, and historians 50 years from now, if they're true to their craft, will say so. That's why the Cheneys and the Bushes hate Trump. Petty, dynastic vengeance. Kate notes how principled the left is when they align themselves with neoconservatives, because the neoconservatives are against Trump. You'll become allies with monsters if they have the same enemy as the Democrats. Democrats believe in nothing, really. Things haven't been the same since Trump showed you can unseat the establishment. That's why he's truly evil to these people on both sides of the aisle. It has nothing to do with January 6th. They hated him way before that. Indeed, ever since he won, and that's why. He upset the plan and showed it could be upset. The emperor has no clothes. That's why he has to be crushed, so no one will ever dare do it again. But it's too late. It is too late. You can't lock the door after the horse already got out. Not only is Trump out there in the wings, but others who are willing to challenge that neocon entrance's bipartisan establishment are out there and coming as well. And the establishment can't stop them. The door has been opened. The floodgates have been opened. They can't stop it. They can't stop it. Liz Cheney, when you're voted out, I mean, you're doing so much now as you are a supposedly ultra-conservative Republican prior to Trump, and now you're begging Democrats to vote for you in a primary because Wyoming's an open primary state. And being the only Congress member in Wyoming, it's a statewide election. They want to make sure that President Trump cannot run again legally, thus taking away choices of the American people. If they did that to even Beto O'Rourke or Pete Buttigieg, try to make it so they legally couldn't run for president, I would think that was evil too. American people are making their choice. They just don't happen to like the choice. Their power and their control and their vast, huge amounts of money they've made off of misery in the world is slowly starting to come to an end. But they still might win. They still might win. We'll have to see. Why do they hate Trump so much? Because he called them out. And he showed people that they can be defeated and they can be weeded out. And that scares the hell out of them. Until the next time, goodbye and good luck.